there. In this video, we're going to talk about how to establish yourself as the go-to agency in your niche. You're going to learn how you can compete with even the giant agencies, especially the giant agencies, and how you can compete with other agencies that are bigger than yours without being intimidated and with totally owning your niche. Okay, so let's dig in. I'm Diane Prince. I sold a staffing agency for $28 million that I built from scratch, and I help agency owners with content, information, coaching, and also back office admin marketing support. Basically, my vision is to make entrepreneurship easier for anyone who wants to run a business. And so let's dig in. And in the meantime, make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel to get more tips on how to build your business. Okay, so let's talk about how to become the go-to agency. We're talking about the one that everybody thinks about or talks about you even when you're not in the room. You want to be the one that is like, oh yeah, you got to call Julie. So some questions you might be asking yourself are why would clients choose a small agency over a big name? How do I stand out when I don't have the same resources? Maybe you're new, and how to get clients when you're just new to the business. Also, how do you find a niche that people actually need? So important. And what makes a boutique agency a better fit for some clients? Okay, so let's dig in. So have you ever lost a deal to a big agency and wondered, how am I supposed to compete with that? Well, you don't need to be the biggest. You just need to be the best in your niche. Probably don't even have to be the best. You just have to be the best fit for a few clients, okay? Because this is a multi-billion-dollar industry. The temp staffing industry was $218 billion in I think it was in 2024. So you only need a teeny tiny slice of that, I'm guessing. So just to clarify, I just looked up the data. Okay, so the temp staffing market is growing, right? So it's an estimated size of 673 billion, that's global, in 2025. And in the US market alone, we've been growing, and the US market alone is about $188 billion. Okay, so if you think about that in the grand scheme of things in the multinationals, I am guessing you only need a tiny sliver of that market to achieve your vision and what you want to accomplish in building your business. So keep that in mind, all right? In this video, I'm going to show you how to be the go-to in your market so that the right clients will come to you and stay with you. All right, we're going to answer the questions. What's your unique advantage as a small agency? How do you choose a niche that will help you to win more business? What sets go-to agencies apart from generalists? And how to position your expertise even if you're just starting out. Okay, so let's answer those questions. Well, generalists compete on price, specialists win on trust. Okay, some of these multinationals they're competing for the giant logo business. Like when I remember talking to one of the C-suite executives at Kelly Staffing, and he was basically telling me like they were not making a profit. So they have to compete, especially the public companies, they have to compete so that they get market share. Back in the day, like I know like UPS, for example, there are several accounts where they actually there's no profit. It's just having that market share. So like UPS was one example where the multinationals supported them, but nobody else really could, because there was no profit. So nobody wanted that business. Once I had a conversation with the head of procurement and talent, or the person who was choosing partners at Citi. And I mean, he basically told me, you do not want our business. We don't care about quality of the employees. We just care about pricing. So you want to make sure that you are going after the clients that you really want. And typically those are the clients that are smaller, where you have access to the decision makers, and you don't have to go through a bunch of hoops, and they're not going to just grind you on pricing. Okay. So, and small clients often feel that they're not getting the attention that they want by multinationals. Multinationals probably don't care that much about them. They want high touch service, whereas the multinationals typically are working through vendor management systems, through VMS, MSPs, which means it could be very high volume, but very low margin. Okay. And your niche can really become your identity in the market. So for example, when I first started, we focused on title insurance, okay? Not at all like cool or sexy, but it was highly underserved, okay? I didn't totally understand the space, but I had access to the space because my dad worked in title insurance and my husband had also just gotten a job. We were just starting out. We were in our 20s. He had just gotten a job in a title company. So we had some knowledge and access to that market, but also we knew that I won't go into all the details, but it was really good timing for that space at the time based on the economy and things that were going on in Southern California where we started, which we eventually grew through the whole country. Okay. So what makes someone the go-to? Like, how can you become the go-to in your niche? The go-to is someone who gets the industry better than anyone else. And it doesn't mean that you have to already be an expert in the industry. Look, I had access to title insurance. Like, I knew about it. But I didn't really know what the people did. I really didn't know that much about it until I started interviewing candidates, and I got really curious and I learned really fast. Okay. So you can learn how to speak their language, understand their pain points, and you can fill the roles faster because you probably have a way higher sense of urgency than a junior recruiter at a big agency. Also, people are going to value the relationship that they have with you in your small business versus somebody who's maybe is about to churn from a big agency who they might not be there next month. So you can really understand and develop a relationship by being a founder, or even if you're of a small team, it might be your sales leader. Okay. Clients want confidence. They want to know that you're in control and that you can provide value, and specialists give them that. Okay. Small businesses and specialists can really give clients that value. So right now, for example, my current staffing business is a virtual assistant business where we place offshore talent in staffing and recruiting agencies. Now, we also work with other kinds of small businesses, but notice my marketing is towards staffing and recruiting agencies. I get other kinds of business, but really focusing and niching brings us incoming business. So we can fill these roles faster, not because we're churning or there are giant virtual assistant agencies, okay, but we have a better insight into what our niche, what our clients actually need. So a team, that my virtual assistant agency, where we specialize in staffing and recruiting. So we're the go-to in a narrow industry. So walking the walk as we speak. Okay. So how do you choose your niche? Now, you might already have a niche, which is great. If you don't, or you might need to feel like you need to analyze your niche, start with something you already know or you have access to. Okay. So for me, it was title insurance because my dad had a 35-year career in title insurance and was able to introduce us at least to the HR people and talent people in his business. Okay, it ended up that we had bigger clients even than Chicago Title, which was, anyway, long story, one of the biggest title insurance companies in the country. And so now with my current staffing business, I have access to staffing and recruiting agency owners. So that's why we developed a team to provide staffing for staffing. Okay, because I have knowledge in the industry and I have access to people like you who are in the industry. Okay, and you can also look for markets that are underserved or overlooked. Title insurance was that for me originally. And some people will look for markets that they think might be easy, but they don't really have, or things that are they're saturated because they hear, like I had one client who came to me and he was convinced that healthcare was the way to go because he had talked to some coach who kind of had got him into this like program, whatever. But turns out healthcare is not underserved and it's not overlooked. Healthcare is super saturated, and it's really hard for people to get into it who don't have an in healthcare. Okay. So what we did is we talked about matching his background and his connections to market demand. And he relaunched doing staffing in education. And it has been completely game changing, where now he's sending out, he's doing cold outreach and LinkedIn and email outreach, or actually email outreach through Instantly. And he's getting, like, I'm getting messages from him on WhatsApp almost daily on people who want to talk to him now that he's switched to niche in something that he knows and understands, and it's working out really well. Okay. So you want to ask yourself some questions that you could ask yourself are, what industries have I worked in? Okay. Or who do I know who has access to different industries that might be underserved and might need staffing? What clients or roles can I fill easily, or have I filled easily? Where do I already have warm contacts? Okay, going back to my client who's switched to education. I mean, he was fighting an uphill battle in healthcare, and now he switched to education and has been like, it has been almost like seamless. He actually messaged me over the weekend that he's worried about being able to fulfill now all his requests. Okay, and we've got him backed up on that because our virtual assistants can also do recruiting. Okay, so you can also build a reputation around your niche. If you've ever heard of dark marketing, and I heard about this, and then all of a sudden I realized that was happening to me, and that means that people are talking about you even when you're not in the room. Okay, because you become known for solving a specific type of a hiring problem. So when you're not there, that's the goal. So like for me, when I'm not there and somebody says, hey, I'm looking for help, I'm looking for sourcing help, or I'm looking for an executive assistant, I've built a reputation in the staffing and recruiting industry so that people will say, you need to contact Diane Prince. And give it time. It might take some time. Okay. This has taken me, I've started niching really in staffing and staffing for staffing. And it did happen fairly quickly where we got traction because we decided to work with clients that we already had access to from other services like coaching. Okay. Don't try to appeal to everyone. Make your ideal client feel seen. When people see that you understand their problems and their challenges, they see you as somebody who can help them and who can help fix them. Okay. So we don't market to everyone. We serve all kinds of small businesses, but we market to staffing agencies. Okay. The result is we're being talked about in rooms that we're not in, and we're getting referrals. And we're getting leads from YouTube. We're getting leads from LinkedIn and from Google searches. Our clients know that when they work with us, we get them. Another way you can really compete with the big agencies is by being human and not corporate. Okay. You might want to act like you're a bigger agency. That's great. But you can have personal attention, speed, and care. And if you're just starting out, focus on your clients' problems, not on your years of experience. Okay. And that's, even if you've been in business for 7 years or longer or whatever, that's what you should focus on anyway. Talk to your clients about what they need to solve and ask them questions, really dig in so you understand their pain points versus selling features or selling your experience. That's a really common question I get from people who are just starting their agency, is like, how do I sell? Like, how do I pitch? Well, the answer is you don't pitch. You ask questions and you get to know, you get to deeply understand your prospects pain points, and that will really help you build relationships. Okay. So your clients will not feel like just another requisition to fill. So remember, big agencies may have scale, they might not be profitable, and they also have a lot of churn in their employees. You have personal attention, speed, and care. And if it's your agency, you're probably going to be there for a while. Okay. So lean into your responsiveness, transparency, and your insights. Think about it like Walmart versus local. Walmart wins on bulk, Walmart wins on price. That's true. But smaller local wins on trust and relationships, and you can do that. Now it's even easier to do that. You might be wondering, well, how do I compete when I don't have all the back office stuff? It's just me. Well, how are you going to manage all the business? One is you can work with an employer of record, an EOR. And by the way, there's links in the comments, so you can let us know if you need to be introduced to someone who can do all your back office for you and even fund your temp payroll if you're doing temp. And that's going to be baked into your cost. So it's super transparent. We can tell you about that. They can do everything, billing, collections for you. And then we also have our A-team support. So we can scale up. That client I mentioned who just got into education, I've been working with him coaching so that we've been getting his clients lined up. He has some contracts now, and now he's able to pull the trigger on getting sourcing help from us now that he has the order. So it kind of all goes hand in hand. So we've got you. And if you want help, with your back office, book a call with A-Team. It's in the comments. And then also if you want help defining your niche, you can download this free exercise on 9 steps to finding your niche. And I guess I'm going to add one more CTA. You can also book a strategy call with me so that we can help, like we can talk about identifying the sweet spot that makes your agency stand out. Okay. So let's just recap. You don't need to be the biggest. Your niche equals focus, clarity, and trust. Small agencies can win because they're small. Decide who you serve best and become the best at serving them. Okay. So ask yourself, what's one role or industry that if you've been in the business for a while, what is one role or industry that you've filled repeatedly with ease? Maybe not total ease, but easier than other roles. What would it look like to own that space completely? Okay. Look at that and like envision yourself being the go-to. Envision people talking about you when you're not there and saying, yes, Jackie is who you need to call. Okay. And you can also think about who already sees you as the go-to and how can you double down on that. I'm Diane Prince. Check out the notes, the copy in down below so that you can see how we can support you and help you to be the go-to agency and build your business around your vision and compete with the biggies. Talk to you soon.